This is the village of Krenovice, and this is the main square. And in the main square, since 1972, we have this statue of a Russian general, Kutusov, who was commander of the Russian forces at Austerlitz. Well, he was commander really only in name, but not in practice. At the time of the battle, he was 60 years old, and he'd been in the Russian army for 44 years. That's to say, he'd been in the army for 20 years when the Tsar was born. He'd lost his eye, his right eye, fighting the Turks many years earlier, and he was rather cautious. Now, the original plan was called for the British and the Swedes to attack in the northern Germany. The Austrians and the Russians were to link together to attack in Bavaria and through Italy, depending on what opportunities present themselves. And the Russians and British together were to attack from Malta with some French royalists, 36,000 of them, and to attack the Kingdom of Naples. Well, the Austrians advanced into Bavaria. Well, that much was done, and Kutusov was supposed to give them some support, but the Russians failed to support the Austrians. The Austrians were surrounded at Ulm. General Mack had to surrender. 60,000 Austrians fall into French captivity. The French move on to capture Vienna, capture a pile of weapons, cannons, and then they move on east, trying to get a hold of Kutusov. Kutusov sees what's going on, and he does the logical thing, and he clears off, trying to get the French to move into Galicia, where he would defeat them there with a long line of supply. It worked later, in 1812. Napoleon wasn't having it though. He didn't fall for this one, and so Napoleon pulled back. Kutusov advanced a bit. Kutusov set up his headquarters at Olomouc. Napoleon was down here, and before the Battle of Austerlitz, Kutusov and the Russian headquarters was in a house which is just down here on the left hand side. Now, people still live in it today. There is a sign outside in Russian and in Czech which explains this. Now, General Kutusov was against the plan of attack completely. He thought that there was something really suspicious about this. However, the Tsar, 24 years old, and he surrounded himself, as a 24 years old would do, with mates of his the same age, and they thought that they could take on Napoleon without any difficulties whatsoever. And so the hotheads won. Kutusov really wanted to hang around a bit and wait for support which would come from the Archduke Charles, who was then in Lombardy, or northern Italy I should say. What is today northern Italy? But he had already been defeated. Well, that's a subject for another video, but he had lost around the time of the Ulm campaign. Now, the Tsar had these hotheads, but he did have a chief of staff, one General Franz von Reyroter, who had got his job thanks to Kutusov. This is his suggestion, when the previous chief of staff had been killed during the Ulm campaign. Now, so they met in this house before the battle, and the Tsar said what they were going to do. They were going to follow Reyroter's plan of attack, which was to leave the Pratzen Heights, which had only just occupied, move down and attack the French right, and then roll them up. That was Reyroter's idea. Now, Reyroter had a CV which was horrendous. He'd been severely beaten before, done a similar thing. He charged off at the French with 4 unsupported corps, and French stopped retreating, laid an ambush, and soundly defeated him. Therefore, Kutusov did what he was told by the Tsar, and the result was clear. Rota was blamed, and he was kicked out of the army, and he died only a few weeks later. Kutusov, who was blamed by the Tsar, but he did stay in the military, and I think most people realised it wasn't his fault. The fault lay with the Tsar for his way of attack. But let's bear in mind and remember that the Russian army, to get a commission in the Russian army, went to the highest bidder. So depending on how much money you had, you get the position that you wanted. And so there is the house that they met in on that night. Now, one thing that I read was that during the meeting, which was held at this house, Kutusov actually went to sleep, realising that he had been offered no advice on matters. They just decided that he just didn't bother. The Tsar had even admonished him in front of his soldiers. He told them off, he'd humiliated him publicly. The old man, and because of respect for the Russian royal family, and this stupidity, this is constantly throughout history. These idiots who don't have a clue what they're doing, won't listen to people who know what they're doing, and the result is, as was happened at Austerlitz, which my argument is that Napoleon did not win. It was the Russians, above all, that lost. Not just the Russians, because the overruled certainly had a hand in it as well. But it was the Allies who lost.